Google crushes it on every metric there is, and the stock is soaring higher after hours. Well, I guess after hours is closed at this point. Anyway, hello, my YouTube friends. I hope you're all doing well. Today is Tuesday. It's after hours. I was so excited about the Google earnings. I wanted to hop on and do a quick video, talk about it a bit, and tell you the things I see. Not only did they beat on the top and bottom line, but pretty much everything that they talked about through the earnings call was just awesome and sounded really good. Now, I know I've talked about it in a bunch of videos. I know a lot of people on YouTube have been talking about Google and how undervalued it was. It was up it was up today during trading in the past couple days, almost closed around $170 a share. After hours, it traded up to $180 a share. And I have a feeling that tomorrow that's where it's going to be trading. And I think, now this is not financial advice, I'll make my spiel in a minute, but I think it's just going to continue higher because it's coming from such depressed levels and getting such a good report. I think it should just keep going higher and higher from here until the price makes actual sense to where it's trading. It also pushed Amazon and Meta stock higher after hours by a little bit. Meta was actually over $600 a share last I worked in anticipation of their earnings, because typically when Google does well, so does Meta and so does Amazon, but I guess that will be seen over the next 2 days, one tomorrow and the other the day after. I think Meta reports tomorrow and then Amazon on Thursday, but I could be wrong. Now, as usual, this is not financial advice. Please, anything that I share is for entertainment purposes only, and you have to do your own research for making your financial decisions. But I was super excited to see Google today. They talked about not just getting into clean energy, and they're buying some of those small nuclear facilities to be able to produce. Hold on, I got to look at my little cheat sheet here. 500 megawatts of power to help to help generate the power they need to run the AI facilities. Um, and I think that's going on with Amazon and Microsoft as well. And it's also creating a big buzz in the nuclear sector that's been driving some of those stocks higher. But they're just flying on that end, and the Gemini people are really enjoying it. Look, I know ChatGPT is the thing right now, but I have a feeling if we woke up 5 or 10 years out, the engineers at, at Google outpace pretty much anybody. And the fact that we use Google as the word for something that we search probably ends up where Gemini is a pretty big competitor in the space. And they've been really happy to see the progress that they've been making. I got to keep looking at my cheat sheets on this because they came up with, I forgot what they call it, but essentially a version that will have a communication like a live conversation with you that people are really enjoying. And I could see how they would. I think it's pretty cool. And that's probably like the first beginnings of something like that, where you can have a communication with I don't want to say a friend, but maybe a helper or an advocate or somebody who can help advise on decision making or whatever else. They said that they had more than 2 billion people on Google Maps and that search is still growing. So all of this talk of it's going to slow down and the new competition from all the AI and all the like chat GPT, like I mentioned, it doesn't seem to be impacting it. And YouTube surpassed over $50 billion in sales. So all of these things are just incredible. Oh, Gemini Live, that was what they called it. I haven't played with it. I'm not familiar with it, but it sounds like not only are people going into the search using Gemini, but they're searching more items and staying on search longer. So it's really interesting to see how it's been playing out. So not only did YouTube do over $50 billion in revenue, if I remember correctly, but they're obviously growing more and more in the short segment, which I'm guessing is probably growing at a pace that might be taking away from TikTok or some of the competitors. They're going to start implementing a short that'll go as long as 3 minutes long because the shorts have been so popular to help to increase those ad revenues and the things that they're getting off the shorts, which it's interesting. I mean, as you guys know, I do very few shorts. I'm hoping to do a live in the next day or two. I really like that platform. I just haven't had the time. And I haven't been feeling so perfect either. Not that that matters. Um, so they grew at a pace of over 13%. And they're still trading, even with the increase, probably just ballparking probably 21 times forward earnings, which is why I think it has room to keep going. I mean, in my mind, Google was so underpriced to begin with between the Department of Justice suit, the talk of breaking them up into different pieces, and the fact that they're concerned that the search is going to drop off, that having a good report and showing that they're still growing at a rapid pace should catapult it the other direction to where it starts getting not just fairly priced, but potentially overpriced like some of the other ones out there. The other thing that they talked about that was really cool was how much Waymo is outpacing some of the others in autonomous driving. So while Tesla gets all the media because of their taxi, their robot taxi, Waymo is outpacing them, and they've partnered recently with Uber as well as Hyundai in terms of building cars, in terms of getting more out there, and actually putting them into use. So it's a real race between Google and Amazon and Tesla and probably Uber, although they're kind of partnering with people more than really racing on any of it or delving into the technology. But maybe there's a place for all three of them. Maybe they'll be able to have different companies running it. Like, I guess we'll see. But it seems pretty evident that autonomous driving is coming. My only concern of it is how many people it's going to end up displacing, because the people who have traveled with the robot taxis and the autonomous driving and everything, they seem to like it better than having a driver. It sounds like they'd rather be left alone. They're comfortable that the drive is safe, and it's just easier, get in, get out, move on about your day, that they like it so much that as the technology improves and it gets implemented, I'm guessing all the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers, the Door Dashers and others are going to be displaced out of those jobs and put in for cars that drive themselves, because why wouldn't the companies save the money versus paying somebody to drive the car? The real problem that I see with that is that a lot of these people used to work regular jobs. They've moved on because they have the autonomous driving. I didn't mean the pun. But they have the ability to pick their own hours and kind of work for themselves. And not even kind of, they do work for themselves. And it's very hard after years of working for yourself to then get displaced from that and have to potentially go back to a traditional job. If you're so spoiled to pick the hours you want to work as many or as few hours as you want, start learning the patterns of when you make the most money or what fits your schedule with your family and everything else, to then go back to a job where somebody's not just telling you the hours you have to be there, but then they tell you what to do and you have to follow their rules, is a really tough transition. And the longer you've been working for yourself as a driver, the tougher that transition is. So if these cars become autonomous and all these people who moved out of regular jobs to start working for themselves are then displaced out of this new job working for themselves, I'm not sure if that's going to drive the unemployment rate even higher and cause different problems than we might think about in terms of just the benefits. So AMD also had earnings that came out just fine, but the stock was getting beat up pretty good after the close. My guess is it all comes down to expectations, and maybe they expected them to do better than that. Chipotle, around this similar type of thing, they beat on profits, but pretty much dead on in terms of revenues. I think the real concern for me in terms of Chipotle, which is why I don't own it, is I feel like it's really expensive for what it is. And with Mr. Nichols leaving and going to Starbucks, I do have concerns about their future and if things start to change over time. So I can understand that even though the earnings came in pretty well, that the stock was off a little bit after the close. I did a video a long time ago about after the split that I expected the stock to have a rough run. It hasn't had a rough run, but it really hasn't done a whole lot either. So I guess we'll see going forward if they're able to continue to grow at the pace they used to. I'm guessing it sold off a little bit mainly because they expect them to crush their earnings, and they didn't crush it. They were just in line. Anyway, if you haven't already, do me a favor and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Wait a second, reverse that. If you could do me a favor and smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. I still might have done it wrong. Make some comments in the chat. Let me know what you thought of the earnings, what you expect for Google. I really think it's got a long way to go towards the upside. I've been really fortunate. I picked it up a couple of years ago when it fell into the 80s. I actually added on significantly when it got around 160, and it's been bouncing around there for a little while. So I was really happy to see the earnings, but I still think it's one of those companies that you just want to have in your portfolio. And unless something changes in the company, you just want to add on and add on. They're such a great vehicle to be invested in that I just don't see what slows them down. Similar how I feel about Amazon and Meta and some others as well. I think they're great companies. Again, have a great day. I don't know if I'll have this out tonight or tomorrow morning. I hope you're doing well. Maybe I say something tomorrow and hope to schedule a live. Talk to you soon.